If you are the Chinese, what have you learned about the art of the deal?
China punked the administration, and the administration backed down. That's no surprise because we've seen that happen over and over and over again.
Well, you heard it there from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Donald Trump got punked by China, but that won't stop an arsonist for trying to get credit for putting out the fire with his 90-day tariff rollback with China. There is some good economic news, and we'll tell you about it, with April inflation easing to a 4-year low. But that report comes with a warning label in the Wall Street Journal today that says this, quote, the April inflation numbers will be treated like observing sunny weather ahead of a widely anticipated storm, where the rainfall remains highly uncertain. And according to Bloomberg News today, Trump has already ruined Christmas. All signs point to the fact that damage from Trump's manufactured trade war might already be done. The Wall Street Journal editorial board today also pouring salt on Donald Trump's self-inflicted economic wounds, writing this of his 90-day tariff rollback with China, quote, as with last week's modest British agreement, the China deal is more surrender than Trump victory. Neither side announced any broader concessions on the substantive trade issues that weigh on the U.S.-China relationship. But the Wall Street Journal editorial board adds, if there's a silver lining to this turmoil, it is that markets have forced Trump to back down from his fever dream that high tariff walls will usher in a new, quote, golden age. The age didn't last 2 months, and it was more leaden than golden. Joining our conversation is anchor and correspondent for Bloomberg News, David Gura. Sam is back as well. David, I'm going to do something different. I ask you to jump in on the politics. We actually started this program with an on-camera attack of the Trump airplane gift from Ben Shapiro, criticism of the nation giving Trump the plane from Ted Cruz, and now the Wall Street Journal with the scathing review of the blinking in the eye of the China trade war. Where does sort of business and Wall Street see Trump's political strength, and do they take that into consideration when they try to figure out how to deal with this administration?
Well, I think that there is some relief here based on what happened over the course of the weekend, that this is the kind of less bad outcome that they were looking for. But you could put together a small volume with all of these editorials from the Wall Street Journal over the last couple of months. They've been highly critical of what the president's done here. And I think at the end of that editorial you read, they said, he went up against Adam Smith, of course, the father of economics, and lost as a result here. But picking up on what you were talking about during the last segment, I think that there's a new sense from this president that he can act with a kind of impunity. He doesn't seem as outraged by all of this stuff as he did before. And look, I think he's going to be quick here to dismiss the Wall Street Journal as being some organ of some part of the Republican Party he's no longer beholden to. But I think that their point is well made, that this is nothing has advanced here. We're in this point now where there's this consultative mechanism that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talked about, where there's going to be further dialogue going forward here. I mean, the achievement here seems to be there's a willingness on both sides to continue talking. But the baseline is tariffs are higher than they were when Donald Trump took office, and we're still in this kind of quagmire of not really knowing how we're going to get out of this mess.
David Gura, this is the first crisis Trump has created for which there'll be no narrative sort of disassociation. It's a regressive tax. It's a tax on stuff that will hurt people that make less money more than it hurts people that make a lot of money. Let me read to you something in The Atlantic. The more your income you spend on services, the less you pay in tariffs. Income that is saved and invested pays no tariff at all. So the richer you are, the more of your income you can save and invest. The working man's car is tariffed. The rich man's chauffeur is not tariffed. The poor girl's dolls are tariffed. The nanny hired to play dolls with the rich girl, not tariffed. Towels are tariffed. Membership fees at the sports clubs are not. The doorknob is tariffed. The butler who stands by to open the door is not. I mean, the defensiveness on the assault on the American consumer, whether it's the sneering response to Kristen Welker's question about the price of strollers, the absolute disdain for the 30-doll household. I've never known a 30-doll household, but that 30-doll household can damn well do with 2 dolls. The 500 pencils to 5, 250 pencils to 5. I mean, just the disdain for a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of instances that voted for him. When does that sort of conversation get held by leaders, by the people that run Walmart and Target and other stakeholders?
You know, I think it's a disconnect, it's disdain, as you put it. I think it's a lack of awareness of the fact that this is likely to have, in very short order, dramatic impacts on most Americans' lives. And you know, everything that we've heard is that's going to happen in short order. So you bring up toys, for instance. I mean, we know that there's been this decline in shipments from China. We're in this very short 90-day period when hopefully something will be worked out to make this something that isn't longer lasting. But I think that the fantasy that we all lose sight of, and I'm up here in Boston today because I was talking to our former U.S. ambassador to China just about what's been going on. You know, something we talked about is this fantasy that, you know, you can put these draconian tariffs in place, you can ratchet up the rhetoric, and then with the snap of your fingers, you can reverse it, that you can kind of get back to the way things were, have a friendship among nations, go back to a level of trust that might have existed among nations. And I think that what we've learned here, and this extends to geopolitics and the relationship that companies have with one another and with other countries, is that that may not be as easy to do as the president thinks it is. And so, you know, your question is a very good one about when do we recognize this, when do leaders begin to recognize this. I think that it's coming into focus here that there are real consequences to the policies that the president has put in place when it comes to trade and tariffs. And there's still this level of hubris or a sense of righteousness that you can kind of back people into a corner. They can make changes, and again, you can go back to the way things were. Maybe the kind of landscape will be more favorable for you than it was before. I think that what we've seen here is a frustration with the way the administration has acted by these other countries, and an unwillingness to kind of continue in this status quo sort of way. And that'll be the thing that I'm really paying close attention to here. Yes, again, we have this short pause, this reprieve with China in the near term, but what does it amount to long term? How much damage or reorientation of the geopolitical terrain has happened here that won't be able to be reversed?
Sam, let me pick up on that with you. NBC News is reporting this. The Chinese president was giving the hard sell to a room full of senior Latin American leaders on Tuesday. He promoted his country's stability and fundamental reasonableness, providing a clear contrast between himself and his U.S. counterpart's erratic trade war. Quote, bullying and coercion only lead to isolation, end quote. So she is taking what, you know, as David Gura said, is now a volume of editorials in the Wall Street Journal and using them to promote China as the more stable and predictable economy to do business with in Latin America than ours.
Yeah, David, who I love tremendously, is being incredibly diplomatic, as usual. This is totally insane way to run economic policy. There's no long-term planning that anyone can do when a president is deciding basically on who he's talked to last, that he's going to put in Paris or he's going to take them off. And the irony that he has created of China becoming the stable, friendly source of geopolitical stability on the international scene is crazy, if you think about it. And it's not just trade, of course. I mean, there's a little noticed article that popped up a couple days ago. The European Commission is putting together a $500 million package to lure researchers and scientists in America to Europe. Why are they doing this? Because we've created an incredible amount of instability through massive cuts and attacks in academia, in which if you're a researcher who has to have a 5 to 10 year planning on your grant, how would you possibly go about doing it in America? And Europe recognizes this. And so, yes, you know, it's funny to watch the MAGA sycophants praise Trump for putting on tariffs because he's going to reindustrialize America, and then praise him for taking tariffs off because it's all part of the art of the deal. And look at the S&P, you know, skyrocket on the news. When in reality, businesses are saying this is not a good way to plan and we can't do this. And people who have to plan or who are in science or research are going to start looking overseas or for different partnerships or frankly, for different careers.
It is amazing. I mean, it is, you know, MAGA went from being, you know, perhaps a surprisingly effective political slogan on a hat to being like the biggest, you know, sort of subversive punchline of irony that I've ever seen in politics, making China look good and like the better, more responsible actor, making Europe the magnet for science and research. These are the real consequences